What's up, people? This is Chris Albert. This is part 3 of my series on overcarbing and insulin sensitivity. I've been putting a bunch of videos out the past couple of days. If you haven't watched the other 2 videos, I suggest you try to watch the other 2 videos and then watch this one as well. Basically, what I'm going to be doing is answering a lot of questions that I got on those videos. The subjects I'm bringing up are a bit controversial and a bit new for a lot of people. So I really want to be clear on what I'm trying to say. I want to really be as open as possible. Excuse me, I'm drooling all over my fucking computer. I want to really be as open as possible to all of you in answering questions. This is stuff that I've been reading about. This is stuff that I've been researching. And this is stuff you're going to see in some of my future writings and future videos as well. I got a great question from a guy named Vladimir Irfin. He put it in the comments on my YouTube, and he asked this: I get what you're saying, but prediabetes is a legitimate medical issue, and a person who regularly does weight training shouldn't really worry about that. And research actually shows that high-intensity anaerobic exercise has the most influence on increasing insulin sensitivity in people who train, and stored fat mainly comes from dietary fats. And also, your body can store fat without insulin. Plus, the good old calories in versus calories out. Versus, if you're eating 4,000 calories from protein and fat, guess what? You'll get fat. Awesome question, Vladimir. And I want to answer this for you in as logical of a way as possible. First things first, yes, you are absolutely freaking right. The only way of increasing insulin sensitivity, research demonstrates, is by lifting weights. Actually, lifting weights has been shown to actually increase the receptor sites on your cells so that you are able to take more insulin in. You are able to, you're actually training your cells to respond to insulin better, to take those nutrients into the cells and replenish them. And so when we look at this, and when we look at people who are trying to recover from insulin sensitivity, or trying to recover from insulin resistance and trying to get themselves out of a pre-diabetic or diabetic state, one of the greatest tools we have available to us is resistance training. But this is another thing. Most of us, not all of us, but most of us who perform resistance training in this day and age actually live a sedentary lifestyle for almost 85 to 90% of the time, and then we go to the gym and lift weights. Here's the thing. So I'm not saying that carbs are bad. I'm just saying that carbs are bad at certain times and good for you at other times. They're bad for you when you are in a state where you are not insulin sensitive, where you haven't lifted weights, and you have not been able to deplete that glycogen. Because if you haven't depleted the glycogen in your cells and you're taking in mass amounts of carbs and you're sitting on your ass, then it's more likely that those carbohydrates are going to get stored as fat, that energy is going to get stored as fat. So I'm not making an argument that fat is better than carbohydrates. I'm not making an argument that carbohydrates are a horrible energy source and that they should be completely denied. I'm saying that if you're taking 4 insulin spikes a day, or 4 servings of carbohydrates throughout the day, and you're sitting on your ass, then you have a probability, in my mind, to build an insulin resistance. It would be more likely in that way. Now, granted, I'm not a scientist. I don't have a PhD in this stuff. I'm no Lane Norton or anything like that. But this is the way this stuff works, right? If we're sitting on our ass most of the time and we haven't worked out, then we haven't earned the carbs that we need to put in our body, then we haven't earned our carbohydrates. The only way you're going to be able to earn your carbohydrates is if you do lift weights. So my argument is that if you're going to eat carbohydrates, you need to lift weights, and that you shouldn't eat those carbohydrates until after you train, right? Now, here's the other thing, and this is on post-workout carbs. So there's a lot of things, and I've talked about this in the past, and I've talked about taking mass amounts of simple carbohydrates after a workout. And what I would say is this: if you are of a higher body fat percentage, then you do not need to be taking post-workout carbs right after your workout. In fact, you're probably keeping yourself from actually burning some of that excess fat, and you're probably almost reasonably inhibiting your gains. You're probably inhibiting your gains because you're blocking certain hormones like growth hormone from going through your system because insulin blocks growth hormone. Now, if you are of a lower body fat percentage, and if you are, if you're super lean, then post-workout carbs make more sense. You're way more insulin sensitive than somebody who has, say, a 15 or 20% body fat percentage if you're under 10%. So post-workout carbs would make more sense in that case because your body is more able to process them. So my advice would be, if you can't see your veins, if you can't see your abs and things like that, I'm not saying you have to be super shredded, but if you can't see those things, then you probably want to avoid those post-workout carbohydrates. They are probably hurting you. Okay? Again, I'm loving these questions I'm getting. I really, like I said, I want to be open to all this. I think that as a community, we can come to find better answers and better solutions to building muscle and burning fat using the research that's out there right now. And the best research that's being done in obesity and the best research that's being done in health right now, I believe, is in insulin sensitivity, because this stuff is leading not only to obesity, but also to diabetes, heart disease, and things like that. I don't want people out there right now to make the same mistakes that a lot of lifters 10, 20 years ago made, where they're sitting in hospitals right now or dealing with pre-diabetic issues or dealing with heart disease or dealing with a lot of the other problems that sedentary people who didn't work their ass off for so long had to deal with. You work your ass off, you train with weights, you trying to be healthy. I want you to be healthy too. All right? Got questions, hit me up, gettingtoshredded@gmail.com, or put your questions down in the comments. I'm here. I'm ready. Talk to y'all later.